I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And in fact, on today's show, we're talking about a lot of light, because on Saturday, there will be a solar eclipse at the 9th degree of Aries. And since Aries does rule beginnings, and solar eclipses also always mean a new beginning, you might be surprised that the title of the show is called Signing Off. And that's because you got to do a little signing off, sort of say goodbye to yesterday before you can start something new. And so we have 4 planets in Aries under the solar eclipse on Saturday, but they're needing a little bit of help. So it's a good idea for you to sign off on things that have bothered you in the past, so that you can sort of clear the decks in order to make a new beginning. And it might be an uphill battle. And the reason why is that there are 4 planets in Aries, and that's the Sun and the Moon. And then Neptune has now entered Aries. It's at 0 degrees. And Mercury is also in Aries, and it's retrograde, or going backward, indicating some people can be changing their minds about a new beginning. And Mercury is also at 0 degrees. So Mercury and Neptune, both at 0 degrees, are conjuncting. And then on Saturday, the Sun and the Moon at 9 degrees are conjuncting. The problem is they have no support. And that's because there's nothing in Leo and there's nothing in Sagittarius to back these planets up. And what is even more harmful is that the ruler of Aries is actually harshly squaring that solar eclipse, because Mars is the ruler, and Mars is in Cancer. And Cancer is another cardinal sign, just like Aries is, and Libra and Capricorn are also cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are not quite as fixed signs, but they insist that they know right from wrong, and they stick to their own opinions. So that Mars in Cancer is squaring the Sun and the Moon, and it is also squaring Neptune and Mercury. That's a lot of planets to challenge all at the same time, particularly when those planets have no backup. And so this is a very good time for you to sign off on past ideas or activities or possible failures that you've had in the past, because this is an excellent time for you to raise your sights, to aim a little higher. If you're going to start something new, don't repeat a past mistake. Aim a little higher so that you don't make the mistake. Doesn't that make sense? I hope so, because this solar eclipse needs a little help. So if you raise your sights and you go for something better, or you decide to try something, but it is based on a long-held hope or dream, particularly about someone or something that you love, you're probably going to be successful. And why is that? Because even though there's a lot of ambiguity about this solar eclipse and a new beginning that you want to make, because it's so sorely challenged, at the same time, there can be hopeful things that in the background of your life that perhaps you've always had there for a long time, and maybe you have not been able to make them come true due to other circumstances, but now maybe you could. And the reason why is that Venus, which had been in Aries last week, has retrograded as well. And it has retrograded back into Pisces, and it is at the 29th degree of fate. And Neptune and the Sun were there last week, but they've moved on, and now by retrograde motion, Venus is at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces. Well, it is being conjuncted by Saturn. And that's good, because it simply means that something that you've dealt with sort of in your secret heart, and it may have been limitations or problems that you think you've had in the past, that, oh, if anybody found out, it would be disastrous, so maybe you've tried to sort of excuse them away or cover them up or something. You wouldn't have to do that now. Venus is conjuncting Saturn. Saturn's planet of time, and Venus rules partnership and love. And it's the Venus that's at the 29th degree of fate. Well, the lucky north node of the moon is squeezed in there at 27 degrees, right between Venus and Saturn. And Saturn is a planet of time, may have been somewhere in your life for quite a long time, someone that you really cared about, or that you wish that was a partner of yours, or a dream that you had, or a goal that you had. And you know, there is support for that Venus and that Saturn and the North Node, because Mars in Cancer, which is really challenging the solar eclipse a lot, because Mars is the ruler of Aries, that Mars is actually trining Saturn. These are two malefic planets that are working beautifully together, giving you a lot of resolve and a lot of strength and a lot of conviction right now that you might have been lacking in the past, but you've got it now. Plus, it's all aimed at someone or something that you've had in your secret heart behind the scenes. It could either be a big worry of yours that you thought, oh gee, the world will fall apart if they ever find out. The good thing about time is that it always moves forward. It doesn't move backward. So that's why you need to sign off on the past. Let it go. Stop worrying about things that possibly other people are not worried about, and instead concentrate on somebody or something that you've loved for a long time. Venus conjunct Saturn, supported by Mars in Cancer. And there could be enough money for that, for you to follow through on a long-held dream. And that is because these planets in Cancer and Pisces are trining Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fixed financial sign. There's nothing in Scorpio, but Mars is one of Scorpio's rulers. It's in pretty good aspect to Scorpio. So that is why you've got to sign off on yesterday's problems and raise your sights and realize that the things that you've been worried about for so long, you know, give the world a little credit here. The world has changed. The world has different values than it used to. Maybe the world is not half as concerned with a private worry of yours as it may have been at one time in your life, but maybe they've got other things to worry about now, and so the world, it doesn't bother the world the way it bothers you. And there's no excuse for you not to go forward with a really loving partner, or a precious goal of yours that you've had, or a dream that you've had for a long, long time. Saturn's transit is 28 to 30 years. I'm not saying you had the dream or the goal that long, but it's been around. And so is whoever you're dreaming about. They've been around too. And the reason why it's important for you to sign off on the past is because it's a little bit like reading a book that you don't want to read anymore. That you're sort of finished with that. The story of your past, you can be finished with that now, and you can decide to go on in a new way. Not everyone is going to agree with you though, and the reason why is that Mars in Cancer rules the home, the family, the last half of life, and endings. And it's squaring the 4 planets in Aries, and so that simply means that there can be family members that could be jealous or vindictive. That's what Mars can be, jealous and vindictive. And they can be jealous and vindictive about your new beginning simply for reasons of their own. Okay? Well, one of them could be greed. Mars rules greed. And so you have to discount the current circumstances of other people and focus a lot more on signing off on yesterday and getting ready to make a new beginning, perhaps that you have been holding secretly in your heart for a very long time, even a little afraid to make it come true because you're afraid that people won't accept your limitations. But the water signs are healing, and they say love heals anything. And Venus is the love planet, and it's at the 29th degree of Pisces right now. So this is a time when, if you're not careful, if you don't raise your sights, you could be thinking, oh, I can just make a new beginning and do the same old thing. Only do it with somebody new, or do something a little bit differently. But, you know, without raising my sights, I can just sort of repeat the past. And that's not true. Don't try that. You will just be asking for the same kind of unhappiness that you knew before. And that's what we're trying to sign off on, remember? And so this is a time when if you raise your sights and you sign off on the past, that's going to put you right where you need to be to really embrace something that's been in your heart for a very long time that probably you haven't told people about. Maybe you've been a little bit afraid of it coming true. Maybe you're afraid that if somebody wonderful finds out that you're not as perfect as you put on to be, that that'll bother them. Well, love doesn't look at people like that. When we love somebody, we love all of them. And it's okay. It's okay. And so you could have spent a long time in your life worrying about not letting people know things that bother you. But if you find somebody that isn't bothered by what bothers you, and you're able to be with them and share things with them, and sort of you get over your limitations or you sign off on them, and you realize that the eyes of love don't see things that way, then you can go forward. You can go forward and love someone that you've cared about for a long time, even if you've never talked to them. You start it now. I mean, what are you waiting for? Venus is at the 29th degree of fate. In Pisces, a sign that rules dreams, but it also rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And it rules your hidden doubts and fears. Well, that's a really good planet to have in Pisces. And it's trining Mars. Trust that if someone is looking at you with the eyes of love and you're looking at them the same way, even if you never said a word, trust that it's going to work out just fine. And you should sign off on the past and raise your sights more toward your dream and less toward repeating whatever mistakes you made in the past. Forget that. It defeats a new beginning, because it won't be a new beginning, it'll just be a repeat of a past mistake. Oh, don't waste your time on that. So what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, the new moon is in your sign, Aries. Congratulations. That means that the sun and the moon are conjuncting on Saturday at 9 degrees. 9 is a finishing number. This may be a time, really, that is a little bit better for you to wrap something up, Aries, and sign off on it so that you can make a new beginning, which you're well aspected to make. I mean, I think that you're all fired up and ready to go, Aries. But your sign has no support. And Neptune, a nebulous planet, has come into your sign at 0 degrees, and it is conjuncting Mercury, the planet of the mind, which is retrograde in your sign as well. All 4 of these planets have no support because there's nothing in Leo and there's nothing in Sagittarius, the other fire signs, to back them up. But the thing that can be hurting you right now, Aries, if you don't raise your sights and aim for something better in your life, is that your own ruler, Mars, is very well fortified by a trine from the planets in Pisces, and it is squaring all the planets in your sign on Saturday. And so you could have family problems. People could be jealous or vindictive for their own private reasons and may not want you to make a new start. Well, forget them. I mean, they may have their private reasons, but you have yours too. And I think that, you've got the lights in your sign, Aries. You can make a new beginning now, but it's not a new beginning where you're just repeating the same old thing you've done before. You're asking for another mistake, is all you're doing, because you're not signing off on the past, and that's what you need to do as you raise your sights to something that is more precious to you, or that allows you to do something that you really want to do, that you would love to do. Take advantage of the fact that Venus is right behind your sun sign, is what I'm saying. And try to discount that your own ruler is squaring your sun sign. It's not doing you any good at all. In fact, it's pretty hard to take that. So if you had 2 new beginnings that you were thinking about, and one of them was sort of a repeat of the past, I would sign off on that. It's very familiar. Well, so what? It doesn't look like it really has a future. There may be nothing new about it. And so, if I were you, I would go for whatever you had in your heart that you wanted to do yourself. Aries is the ruler of the first house in a chart. And what is the byword for the first house? It is the I am. Aries likes to be first because it rules the first house. And the first house is the self. And that's what you need to aim for. What would make you happy right now, Aries? Not your family, not your relatives, not somebody you've known a long time where you're just sort of going through the motions. That might have fizzled out. That would be good. You need to go on to something new. But you have to sign off on the past, and you need to raise your sights. Well, if you do that, Aries, the world is your oyster. I mean, it may not all land in your lap all at once, but you're the one that has the lights in your sign, the sun and the moon. I mean, the lights light up everything, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, that solar eclipse in Aries on Saturday is right behind your sun sign, and there's 4 planets there. There's an awful lot of light in the background of your life, Taurus, and everybody can see it. You know, when there's a lot of light right behind your sun sign, it means a whole lot of people can see what you're doing or what's been going on or the current status of your financial dealings. If you're in business for yourself, you could probably see and get a good idea of where that has been successful or where it's been a failure or where it's fizzled out. And you could be, since yours is a fixed financial sign, you could be thinking of new ways to make money behind the scenes. That would be a Taurus. Yours is a financial sign. And I would suggest that you do that. But you will have to sign off on the past first. Everybody has to do that. You can't have one foot in the future and the other foot in the past, because all you're going to do as time moves on is that you're going to keep separating yourself from the past and the future. I mean, it's like, you know, somebody who sinks because they're doing the splits. And they're, half their time is split in the future, the other half split in the past, and they get nowhere. And so don't do that, Taurus. Since you have so much light in the background of your life in Aries, although it is not supported and it's very challenged right now, you could be having your mind on doing something new. And all I'm suggesting is first sign off on the past, because that's just a boring repeat of things you've done before. Forget that and try something new. And I think that you'll have to do that, actually. Your sign has no support. It has Uranus in it, but there's nothing in Capricorn and there's nothing in Virgo. In fact, all the planets in the heavens under that solar eclipse are in only one half of a person's chart. And the other half of the whole chart is empty. And so, of all 10 planets, they are all being squared or challenged by some other planet right now. So in your sign, Taurus, Pluto is in Aquarius, and it is squaring your sun sign, which it's going to be doing for years. You have to be careful about your future choices, because other people are making choices about the future, and it may really not go along. Either the way they're handling their money or the project they're thinking of may not make sense to you, may not go along with your ideas about how to handle money or where to put it. Taurus is very good at investing, because Taurus rules the New York Stock Exchange. But do you see that that's being threatened right now by that Pluto in Aquarius as well? So nobody's too sure about the future. But I can guarantee you, if you don't sign off on the past, you're not going to have a future. Either because you're not handling your money well enough, or it's being challenged by future ideas or future plans that other people are making, or else it's just because Uranus has no support from anything. There's nothing in Capricorn or Virgo. And so this could be a better time for you to be a little bit quiet about what you're doing, Taurus, as you look over your financial situation much more carefully. And then if I were you, I would sign off on some different ways you've been handling your money, because going forward, I don't think they're going to work as well as you had hoped, because they're not going to work the same old way. And so if you're taking that for granted, I think you're going to get a rude awakening financially, so I wouldn't do that. And instead, you should just sort of try to bring things together for yourself and sort of settle a little bit right now. And I wouldn't take a gamble on anything, Taurus. You are not aspected to succeed at it. So don't do that. But you could make a new beginning behind the scenes with all that light in Aries if you just signed off on your past and raised your sights to something that is better for you. Not better for you and the family, or better for you and somebody else, but just better for you. And it's your future that is a little bit more in your hands than you think, Taurus. And if I were you, I'd stick to what you believe and sort of tune out everybody else right now, because their future plans are not going to coincide with yours. So you don't have to please everybody. You just have to please yourself right now. But I would do that real quietly if I were you. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini. This is a time, Gemini, when the planets that are in Aries on Saturday under the solar eclipse actually sextile your sun. So that means that the 4 planets, the sun and the moon in Aries, and Neptune, and Mercury, which is retrograde, and Mercury is your own ruler, Gemini, but it's going backwards right now. They are actually all sextiling your sun where you have Jupiter, and Jupiter is being trined beautifully by Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. This is a time, Gemini, when if you have been sort of dreaming of something that you were always hoping would come true, and it hasn't showed up yet, you could begin to think that you need to sign off on that dream and then just make other future plans. If you're thinking like that, you're probably right. If the dream shows up, fine. But it doesn't look like it's really Neptune, which rules dreams, because it rules Pisces, has moved out now. And it is in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. And then what is on the 29th degree of Pisces right now is Venus, conjuncting Saturn. And so these planets in Pisces, Saturn, the North Node, and Venus, are all squaring your sun, Gemini, because Pisces squares Gemini. So they're all squaring Jupiter. Venus in Pisces is squaring Jupiter in your sign. You could face some little disappointment in a precious dream of yours that maybe isn't coming true quite the way that you were wishing that it would. And you could be at a point where you might want to sign off on that because it's been a disappointment for one reason or another, and you may be deciding to go ahead and align yourself with other people whose interests are more future-oriented. That would be a very good idea, Gemini, because Pluto is in Aquarius, trining Jupiter in your sign. You see, if we work with planets that are challenging us all the time, all we're doing is we're still hitting the same brick wall in a challenge. But if we work with planets that are trining our sign, it means they're in the same element. And when planets are in the same element, whether it's fire, air, earth, or water, their energy flows unrestricted among the other signs that are in the same element. And that's what Pluto in Aquarius is doing. It's trining Jupiter in your sign, whereas all the planets in Pisces are squaring that Jupiter. So you do need to sign off on the past somewhere. It might be because a dream sort of let you down or disappointed you or never really came true. So you could spend your life waiting for that if you wanted to, but where would it get you? Pluto, the planet of influential people and powerful people and people who want to go forward in the future, it's in Aquarius, the sign of the future, and it's beautifully trining your sun. It's going to do that for years, Gemini. You know, Jupiter's going to move by June 10th, but not Pluto. It'll be trining your sun. You are aspected to make new friends. They may be people who have already worked in powerful positions, and maybe they're retired. That wouldn't bother you. You could benefit from wise advice from them, certainly, Or it could be people that are putting together something that is headed toward the future, and they simply like your style or your easy way of communication. Your sign rules communication. You're very good at sort of talking everybody's language. And then maybe they need somebody like you, Gemini. And Pluto's going to be trining your sun for years and years and years. So you can either sit there and wait and wait and wait for a dream to come true, or maybe wake up and realize that it just didn't make it. And you could head off with other people that have got plans for the future, and they're not just dreams. They're committing to that in one way or another. And they probably want to take you with them, Gemini. I would do that if I were you. First of all, it'll be a lot easier on you. Nothing will be challenging you. It's very nice to have people where you sort of talk the same language, or you understand how other people are thinking. That is sort of one of the secrets of success. And I think that that's going to be available to you, Gemini. So if you have to sign off on a past that didn't pan out the way you thought it would, fine. You're going to have a lot better opportunities coming up, so good luck. All right, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, remember I said Mars, which has been in your sign a long time now, is actually squaring another sign that it rules. It rules two signs, Scorpio, which is trining, and Aries, which is squaring. And so Mars in your sign is squaring the sun and the moon, the new moon and solar eclipse on Saturday, along with Neptune and Mercury, which is retrograde. That's a lot to be squaring. But your sign is the one that's well fortified, and none of those four planets are fortified at all. Plus, you're the ruler of Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and it's squaring that. You would have to think over very carefully what kind of new start you want to make, Cancer. And you're going to have at least two choices. You could have the choice that's obvious, that it's out there. I mean, the sun and the moon are in Aries, sign of new beginnings. You could see that, so could everybody else. And there could even be something a little nebulous about that. Neptune is a nebulous sort of, you know, are you sure everything is for real that you're looking at or not? But or is it just pretend? That's all out there. But I don't see you going that way, Cancer, because it would be so much easier on you, because Mars in your sign is trining Saturn, a planet of stability and time, in Pisces. And that Saturn is conjuncting the lucky north node of the moon, which means you could have a lucky friend around somewhere, but they're behind the scenes. A lot of people wouldn't know about that person. And then Venus has come into Pisces. It's at the 29th degree of fate, and it is trining Mars in your sign. That is highly compatible. You know, Mars rules war, but Venus rules peace. These things are pretty well matched here, actually. I mean, they're pretty strong, but they are in good aspect to each other. If there is somebody in your life, Cancer, that you sort of had in your secret heart, and maybe people don't know about it, or it's a goal that's always been a little bit out there that you never really either had time or money to accomplish, but you've always kept it in the background of your life that you've wanted to accomplish it. Now is the time. And the reason why is it looks like you're going to have more money for that. Because Mars in your sign and the planets in Pisces are all trining Scorpio. Mars is Scorpio's ruler, and it's in good aspect to the sign it rules. And Scorpio is a fixed financial sign, ruling money coming in from other sources. And with so many planets in your sign and Pisces trining the sign of Scorpio, it looks like there will be some more money for something that you've been dreaming of, or for somebody that you'd like to get together with a little bit more. But they would be behind the scenes. And you know, you ought to do it. Venus is at the 29th degree of Pisces, and it's retrograde. Well, it's going to go direct, you know. It's going to leave Pisces and go into Aries. Venus is never happy in a sign ruled by Mars. But it is happy in Pisces because Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And Neptune and Venus can represent a highly idealized love. It could be a love for the betterment of mankind. and you want to help with that. Well, that's great. It could also be a love that you've had in your secret heart for someone that you think is really wonderful, that you think would make you happy for the rest of your life. Oh, that person is around, Cancer. You know, Venus is at the 29th degree. It might have taken an awful long time for the conditions to be right for you and them to possibly get together now and have the money to do it. I don't think finances would be a problem. But if you don't raise your sights, if you just think you're going to do something pretty easy that is a repeat of what you did before, it will turn out to be a failure. The solar eclipse actually is squaring your sun. You've got to work a little bit more behind the scenes to be successful, because what is obvious to you or to others in your life, there's something wrong with that. There's something that's not going to work. It may have fizzled out already. And you have to be prepared for that. So in a way, I think that you've been kidding yourself about something, Cancer. Kind of like, you know, you could just go along, do whatever you want, and things would look good, and that would be nice. But would it be really real? Would it be sincere? Would it really involve the eyes of love in your life? Would that be coming from you? Or are you doing something that's expected? Are you just doing something to fulfill the picture of something rather than the essence of it? Because I don't think the essence is there. But privately behind the scenes, I think you have someone or something that you'd like to do, and you've liked to do it for a long time, and it could be right there on your doorstep, Cancer. All you have to do is do something about it to make it work. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when you have to be a little bit careful. And the reason why is that you might get all fired up about a new beginning and just charge forward. There are 4 planets in Aries, and they're all trining your sun, Leo. The sun and the moon, and the sun is your own ruler, are at 9 degrees on Saturday. And then Neptune is at 0 degrees, conjuncting Mercury, which is retrograde, also at 0 degrees in Aries. So there's going to have to be a little change in plans or a little change in thinking going on because Mercury is retrograde. But still, even if you had to amend your plans in one way or another, you could be very excited about making a new beginning. And what kind of new beginning would it be? It would be something that should have happened before. Or it's something that you might have even tried before, but it didn't really get off the ground. And this time I would say, you really need to give it a straight shot, Leo, and give it a try. That would be good. Because it could be a heavy lift. And yours is a fixed sign. You can do it. But it would be a heavy lift because Mars, which is right behind your sun sign in Cancer, and that means that there's a little trouble in your family life. And it can be that there can be family members that are jealous and vindictive for reasons of their own, which might be greed, where they may object to you making a new beginning. Well, the only life you can live is your own, Leo. So you don't have to worry about other people and how they live their lives, not even family members. They're grown up, or if they're not, they will be, and they can take care of themselves. But right now Uranus in Taurus is still squaring your sun, which means you've got money problems somewhere. And it could be a drop in the value of your investments, or if you've taken a gamble with anything, you may have lost the gamble, and that means that you need to sign off on the past, Leo. I really mean that you need to do that. Do not repeat a past mistake. Not even if you have the best intentions in the world. Do not step in where angels fear to tread. Uranus is still going to be, it'll go into Gemini briefly, but it's going to come back into Taurus, and it'll still be squaring your sun for another year. So the finances are not really going to get all straightened out for about another year. That goes along with the fact that the economies throughout the world are a little shaky right now. And so you should be making a new start, but it would not be repeating a past mistake. It would not be where you think, oh, this is familiar, I think I'll try this again. Don't do that. Sign off on the past. It should be like finishing a book that you don't want to read again. Because what it means is that if you raise your sights, you're probably going to have an offer or an opportunity to make a pretty great new beginning. But it may not be with who people think you'd be making it with. Jupiter in Gemini, which rules the public, is being squared by all the planets in Pisces, one of which is Venus. So, you know, you cannot afford to go back to the past, is what I'm telling you, Leo. You might want to return. You might want to move, since Mars is right behind your sun sign, and it rules moving because it's in Cancer. You want to move back to an old neighborhood, or to a little closer to where you were born in your home life when you were a kid. That could probably work out pretty well. But if you're just saying, oh, I just think I tried something before and it was a mistake. Oh, but this time I'll try it again and it won't be a mistake. Who are you kidding, Leo? It would be a mistake. Aries rules new things, not repeats. And so if you're going to try something, at least do it with somebody new, not somebody you've known for a while. Sign off on the past and let it go. And Leos are pretty brave people. They're not afraid to try something new. So don't let life pass you by, Leo. Go for a new beginning. But raise your sights if you're going to do that, so that you'll end up in a better place than you've ever been before. That's worth it. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, there's only one planet trining your sun, and it's Uranus in Taurus, so that's good. That's supporting you, which means you can get a pretty clear look at your investments. And as I mentioned last week, I really think you should try to simplify your finances in one way or another. Maybe you need to just bring them together a little bit more and not have them so spread out. And the reason why is that these are economic times which are somewhat unsettled, and that solar eclipse with 4 planets in Aries, boy, you think nothing could stop it. But it has no support. There's nothing in the other fire signs, and its own ruler is soundly squaring it, and its own ruler, Mars, is beautifully backed up. And the solar eclipse isn't. So we all have to sign off on something that we've been holding on to, and it's a sort of a, what it really means, Virgo, is that you've outgrown something. It might be even a dream that you've outgrown. If it hasn't come true by now, Virgo, sign off. Okay? Saturn and Venus and the north node of the moon are in Pisces. They're being tried by that Mars in Cancer, but they are actually opposing your sun sign. If a precious dream of yours is not turning out the way you thought it would, or you think that there's sort of no hope, or you just think that it's just going to be waiting until the day you die, why would you waste your time, Virgo? Virgo rules good time management. Virgo rules efficiency. You know how to make your time count, Virgo. You were born knowing how to do that. Well, wishing on a star doesn't get you the star if the star doesn't meet you halfway, if the star isn't shining on you. And so you have to just decide where you do want to make a new start, and you do need to sign off on the past. Because if something hasn't worked by now, you know, it isn't up to you to do anything anymore. You could have waited and waited and waited. You could have done your best. You could have stuck it out. And if it didn't get you anywhere, it is time to sign off, Virgo. Because there'll be better things ahead for you. And you may have thought that, okay, I have been wanting to do this special dream or this special goal or this special thing for years and years and years, and it hasn't happened yet. Well, if you wanted to raise your sights a whole bunch and work with new people that can help you with that a little bit more, that would be a good idea. But if you're deciding, well, I'll just keep waiting, I'll just keep being a doormat, I'll just think that it'll come true someday. Really, earth signs are pretty practical. After a while, things have to add up. If they don't add up, it's time to move on. And it might be time for you to move on. Only because if you sign off from the past, it will still open a new way into your future. Eventually. The solar eclipse in Aries is 150 degrees away from your sun or in conjunct. You know, it's not going to have a real big effect on you, Virgo. But Virgos are thinkers. You know, your sign rules analysis. You're perfectly capable of analyzing how you've spent your time for a long time. And did you really want to keep doing it the way you've been doing it? Have other people appreciated that? Have they thanked you for it? You know, did it help you in a way that satisfied your needs and your heart? Well, if the answer is no to any of those, you need to sign off on that, Virgo. It didn't get you anywhere. And instead, you can prepare for a new beginning as well. But if I were you, this is a much better time, particularly since Uranus and Taurus is trining your sun. It's a much better time for you to sit down quietly in your solitude, and Virgos like solitude, and try to simplify your financial transactions a lot more. You know, you really need a quiet time to ride out for about the next year or year and a half, 12 to 18 months. You need to be pretty quiet with your money, Virgo, while the rest of the dust settles throughout the world economically. And I would think that that would be enough for you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when you may think, well, everybody else is making a new start. Why can't I? Well, because you have a few things opposing and squaring your sun sign. One of them is that the solar eclipse on Saturday with 4 planets there, the sun, the new moon, Mercury, which is retrograde, and Neptune are all opposing your sun sign, Libra. Okay, so for sure somebody else wants to make a new start, and there is a new start coming for them, okay? And they're all revved up and ready to go. But they may not be taking you with them, Libra. And that's because of that strong opposition. Well, then, the real reason that new beginnings are going to have a tough time getting off the ground if people don't sign off on their past first and then raise their sights, the reason why is because Mars is in Cancer. And it's very well fortified by the planets in Pisces, nothing wrong with that. But it's squaring all the planets in Aries, and it's squaring your sun as well, Libra. And it's opposing the Capricorn sun. And that Mars is pretty revved up. It knows what it's doing. And it can be delaying a new start, or it could be that something has fizzled out that looked promising, but isn't actually going to get off the ground at the current time. So where does that leave you, Libra? You know, Libra, you could be sitting pretty and do absolutely nothing at the same time. And the reason why is that you have 2 very strong planets, both trining your sun. They're not going anywhere. One of them's going to leave pretty soon, but the other one isn't. Pluto is in Aquarius, trining your sun sign, and that represents people in high places or in upper management that have got their eyes on the future, and they've got their eyes on you too, Libra. So it may not be a question of you making a new start. It might be that somebody else is wanting to make a new start, and they can see you in their future because Pluto is trining your sun. It's going to be that way for years, Libra. You know, you need to get out and about. There are plenty of people that are looking, you know, business is business. Not everyone is pleasant in business, Libra, but you always are. Libra rules charm. Libras get along with anybody. That doesn't mean they always have the same thoughts behind the scenes, but they're nice to people, even people they don't like. And they're good at that. And Venus, your own ruler, is in Pisces at the 29th degree of fate, being beautifully trined by that Mars. Behind the scenes, you're doing a little better than you are, you're doing a little better than it looks, Libra. You may not look as if you're doing anything new or you're being real successful right now, but actually you are doing better than you think. Because not only is Pluto in Aquarius trining your sign, and that rules the future, meaning people that want to include you in their future, there's going to be people like that for years to come, Libra. You need to get out and about. Let the world know you're alive. They might have been waiting a long time for somebody like you to come along. And then Jupiter is still in Gemini, and it is trining your sun as well. And so you're popular with young and old alike. Gemini rules youth. So you don't have to do much right now, Libra, but you do have to raise your sights. You do the same for everybody. We've got to sign off on the past. Otherwise, if you don't raise your sights, you're just going to be repeating the same mistakes you made before. Well, you know, time marches on. We all get older. Do you really want to be older and still making the same mistake? Don't do it. Wait and see what else is out there that's new. And your ruler Venus is in a beautiful spot, 29 degrees of Pisces. Saturn is conjuncting it. It can be that something that you've wanted deep in your heart for a long, long time. And it could be sort of like the right person in your life. They could be around. They could be closer than you think. So anyway, Libra, you know, put on your best bib and tucker and get out in the public and meet people. Meet young people, that's what Gemini rules, and meet people that are pretty influential. Just go up and say hello. They would love to meet you. If you just got out a little bit more, you'd be amazed at how many people would welcome you with open arms. This is a good time for you to do that. But if you're just thinking, well, I just think I'll repeat what I've done before, you're wasting your time, Libra. You've got to really raise your sights and sign off on the past, and then go out among them. You will be well received. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when there are some very good planets trining your sun. Lucky you, because some of them are heavy-duty planets, which means, Scorpio, if you thought that you were going to repeat a past mistake and sort of fall down the way you fell before, I don't think that's going to happen, Scorpio. For some reason, it's not going to happen. Now, it can be that you're just developing more backbone. Scorpios have a lot of backbone. They don't generally need to develop it. But if you were thinking of not signing off on your past, but just sort of going along with the way things look right now and just repeating a past mistake, thinking that somehow something would change and it wouldn't be a mistake anymore, that is a false assumption. Don't do that, Scorpio. Your sign rules survival. Neither you nor anybody else right now can survive by repeating the past. They can't. If you have some secret dream or something behind the scenes that involves someone that you care about or a goal that you've had in your mind for a long, long time, that's what you should go for. Because Venus is at the 29th degree of Pisces, and it is actually conjunct the lucky north node of the moon in Pisces, meaning there could be a very lucky partner, but they would be behind the scenes. Not too many people would know that you know them. Maybe you don't know them. But if you meet somebody that you think sort of fulfills your needs and they're new, or at least you've never met them before, then go ahead and try to develop that a little bit. That could be a pretty nice partnership. That's not repeating the past. That is going for something new, but it might not be new in your heart, or it might not be new in your mind, but when you actually connect with somebody, that's the newness of it. And that would work out really well because Venus, Saturn, and the lucky north node of the moon are trining your sun, and so is Mars in Cancer, which means you're somewhat aspected to have more money come in to make a move. And even if family members are jealous and vindictive and they don't want you to make a new beginning based on motives of their own, it's not up to you to live their lives. It's up to them to live their own lives, Scorpio. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. And this is a great time to do it. But I think if you sign off on the past, you raise your sights, and you respond to something wonderful or somebody wonderful behind the scenes that not too many people know about, that is the roadway to your happiness and to your future. But you got to sign off on the past and raise your sights, and then go for it. Your sign has a lot of support. You should do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, you could be the right person in the right place right now. Even if you weren't planning it, it could happen. Because on Saturday, the sun, the new moon in the solar eclipse in Aries, and Neptune, and Mercury, which is retrograde, both Neptune and Mercury are at 0 degrees in Aries, are all trining your sun, Sagittarius. That's pretty nice. That can give you a big boost. If you are going to raise your sights right now, that is the right thing to do. And if you are deciding to sign off on yesterday, or sign off on people from the past that you know, that you've known for a long time, and you may be thinking, well, today's a good day to sign off on those people because I have no intention of working with them in the future, or they're not part of my future plans. Oh, that's okay, Sagittarius. You're not being unfair to anybody. You're really being true to yourself and to some sort of unique new opportunity that can be coming your way because it's trining your sun. The only thing is, you can't really kid yourself. If you don't raise your sights and you don't sign off on the past, you're going to kid yourself into repeating something that you've done before with the idea that it's going to be better than the last time, and it won't be. It won't be. Because Saturn, the north node of the moon, and Venus in Pisces are all squaring your sun, and Jupiter in Gemini is opposing your sun sign. Well, Venus is a real good planet, but it's not in good aspect to your sun sign. Jupiter's a great planet. It's your own ruler, and it's opposing your sun sign. If you don't sign off on the past and go ahead and try something new, probably with somebody new, I don't see where that's going to get you anywhere if you don't raise your sights and you don't sign off. Sagittarians are very talented, and they're very thoughtful, and you know, they can explain their reasons for doing things. Excuse me, but there is no viable explanation for wanting to repeat the past with people you've known from the past, because it isn't going to get you anywhere. And so now is the time to try something new. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I still don't have that cold gone, but I'm working on it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when you do need to sign off on the past. And that is because something new that you want to do can prove to be extremely challenging right now. And the reason why is that there's 4 planets in Aries on Saturday. The sun, the new moon in the solar eclipse, along with Neptune. Well, they're all direct. And then Mercury is there as well, and it is retrograde, meaning that there are some people that are changing their minds. So even Capricorn, if you're not changing your mind about something, other people are. Maybe they're thinking of going in a different direction. Maybe they want to try out something new that doesn't really involve you at the time. Maybe you have actually been able to define what you're most comfortable with, and you're deciding to stick with that. Well, nothing wrong with that. It means that you wouldn't be making a new beginning, but you may be deciding to still raise your sights in whatever you're doing and maybe develop your own talents a little bit better. You could do that, and on top of that, you could have the money to do that because Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun. So I don't think that you have financial problems right now, Capricorn, at least not ones that you can't handle. Even if the value of investments has gone down, you can probably handle that. Capricorns are a little bit frugal, and they know they're going to live a long time, so they got to have the money to do it. But they're not speculative. They're not gamblers. And so this is a time when somebody may want to come along, or there can be some offer to start something new, and you could have your doubts about it, Capricorn. I think that's wise of you. All 4 planets in Aries square your sun. But the problem is, Mars in Cancer also opposes your sun. And so, if you did want to make a new start in a wildly different direction, there could be jealous and vindictive family members, because Mars is in Cancer, and Cancer rules the family, that could object to that based on their own reasons, some of which could be based on greed. And so not every family member is going to be happy with what you decide to do right now, Capricorn. And I think you got to not worry about that. They're supposed to be living their own lives. You're living yours. And so other people have to do that too. And that Mars in Cancer is actually trining planets in Pisces, which sextile your sun. One of them is your ruler. Saturn is in Pisces, sextiling your sign. There could be something behind the scenes that may be very idealistic, sort of that you want to raise your sights about, or some talent you have that you want to develop more, so that you're raising your sights on that, or a goal, or a person that you like very much. And, you know, it can be something that you even thought of years ago. And now it looks like, gee, the right people might be falling into place. Saturn sextiles your sun, but so does Venus at the 29th degree of Pisces. That sextiles your sun. And so does a lucky north node of the moon. So I wouldn't argue with family members. You know, sign off on that. It doesn't mean you don't love your family members. This is just not the time to argue with them. Try to be busy. Try to go on a vacation. Just don't answer the phone. Because you could make a dream come true behind the scenes, or you could raise your sights on something. And if that means you have to sign off on the past, it's overdue. You ought to do it. Just let something go and give yourself a chance to develop in a new way. It may be something that you've been yearning for, or even a person that you've been yearning for, or a goal that you've been yearning for. Maybe you don't have all the talent to make all your dreams come true, but if you could hook up with somebody else that would be a good partner, nothing wrong with that. And you don't have to worry about the family. They're going to grow up and do what they want anyway. Just let them. Don't fight with them. Because they're in the mood and you're not. So stick to just being calm, Capricorn. All right, what does it mean to Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you can be somewhat on the verge of starting something new. That solar eclipse in Aries on Saturday is sextiling your sun. And so the sun, the new moon, and Neptune, and Mercury that's retrograde are all sextiling your sun from Aries. And Jupiter in Gemini is trining Pluto in your own sign, Aquarius. But that's pretty important, because you may, if you're starting something new, or somebody else wants to sort of hook up with you and involve you in something new that they want to start, and you're thinking, well, I think I could do that, or maybe part-time. The Gemini rules part-time things, and Jupiter's trining your sun. Maybe you could do that. That would be okay with you. And what it would do is that it would lead eventually to not a whole different world that you live in, but it would lead to a much better new beginning than you can see at the present time. In other words, if somebody says, well, hey, want to join us for something? I'd say yes if I were you, Aquarius. And it doesn't really have anything to do with money. Uranus and Taurus is squaring your sun. When it goes into Gemini on July 7th, it'll trine your sun, but not for too long. It's going back into Taurus for another year. But still, it'll give you an idea of how you can branch out in new directions. And if somebody else is asking you to do that or to join them, I'd give them a pretty good listen, Aquarius. There's nothing wrong with you signing off on the past. Your sign really needs to do that, because your sign rules the future. It doesn't rule the past at all. Aquarians are always, they've got vision. They're looking down the road. They're creative. And if you meet somebody else like that has vision, and they want you to join up with them, even if it's a part-time thing, I would do that. You have nothing to lose. Jupiter is in Gemini, which rules part-time work, and it's trining your sun. But it would eventually lead to a much stronger new beginning than you can envision at this time. So I would do that. Look around for something new. Raise your sights. Sign off on the past. It's not going to bring you more money anyway. And you know, even if you're wanting to repeat the past, you would be taking a gamble on the past. That's not the way to do it. Your sign rules the future. If you want to head toward anything, it's got to be the future. That's more natural to you, Aquarius. So I hope you head that way. And if somebody comes along and says, hey, you want to start something new? Well, okay, give it a try. You have nothing to lose. Jupiter's trining your sun. There will be other ways that you can, if you say to yourself, oh gee, I'm not too well prepared for this, there will be other people that will help you. And besides, it's only part-time. So I'd give that a yes. It may be a small key that opens a big door to your future, eventually. So give it a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when if you, somewhere in your life, you've had a love of your life, and you've never told anybody about that, just somebody that you think is, you know, just wonderful, that you wish you were with, it could happen now. And the surprise of it all would be, Pisces, that they think just as well of you. And, you know, Pisces are not overly confident people. They're sort of cautious. They're careful. They're not too sure. It rules the 12th house of limitations and our doubts and our fears. Pisces have a lot of those. And Pisces can be charming to people. They can be real nice. But sometimes it's to cover up what they are afraid others will find out about. And there is somebody that no matter what you are trying to cover up, Pisces, it doesn't bother them. They don't mind. The eyes of love are looking at you. And the reason why, now this might be somebody that you've never even met, but you've always admired. Or it could be a goal that you've had for so many years, you're really in love with it, and as time marches on, you're sort of deciding you better go for it. Well, that's true. But Venus is at the 29th degree of Pisces in your sign. Well, that's very romantic, Pisces. So sign off on the past. Sign off on yesterday. On old associations that have more or less fizzled out, because in a funny kind of a way, they're predictable and even a little boring. And is that how you really want to spend the rest of your life, Pisces? I hope not. Because repetition doesn't equal love. Love, and Venus is in the love planet is in your sign at the 29th degree. Love can look at all of you, Pisces, and love can see everything, okay? And they see it as the things that are the best in you. And love sees the best in a person. And you can say, oh, but I have these faults, and I have these limitations, and oh, my past is not completely clean. Oh, there's so many reasons why somebody wonderful wouldn't care for me. So I have to keep repeating the past, even if it is boring, because that's all I've got. Well, get out of thinking like that. You're digging yourself a hole, Pisces, and you're just going to keep digging it if you don't get out of that. You have to sign off. Goodbye, past. And realize everybody has a future, including you. And I repeat, Pisces, that you have more of a future than you think. And the reason why is that there is a very powerful planet right behind your sun sign, Pluto. And it is in the sign of the future, Aquarius. It's going to be there for years. Guess where it's going next, Pisces? Straight into your sign. So I ask you, is someday when Pluto gets there. Are you going to be ready? Are you going to be ready to be at your best? To live up to your best? To do your best? To be head of something? As Pluto represents people in powerful positions with vision. So sign off on the past. If all you're doing in your life is a repeat performance, let it go. It's probably fizzled out anyway. And you know, repetition, when time marches on and you're getting older anyway, that is really boring. And Pluto won't stay in Aquarius. We don't know how long it's going to be in Aquarius. I'm thinking 15, 17 years, something like that. Well, hopefully you're still alive, Pisces. And it's going to come straight into your sign and make you a powerful person. And when were you going to get ready for that, Pisces? Well, with the love planet in your sun sign right now, conjuncting Saturn, the planet of time, it simply means that you might have waited a long time for a dream to come true, or you might have waited for your life to be in a position where you were ready to make the dream come true, but it's now. And you can do it. And you've got Venus helping you. And Saturn is giving you backbone. And Mars in Cancer is trining all this. So the solar eclipse is right ahead of your sun sign. You could make a new start. It's not well aspected to succeed if all you're going to do is run straight into a wall of fire. I mean, you know, take it one step at a time, Pisces, and make a dream come true. And that means that you've got to just sign off on the doubts and the fears that you have. And have a little faith in whoever or whatever you love. Because remember, the eyes of love, they don't see anything wrong in you. It doesn't mean you're perfect, Pisces. But they don't see what you see. The eyes of love always see with love. And that makes things better for both of you. So give something a try. It's time. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for the new subscribers. I hope you tell your friends about the show, because it's listed under Karen Campbell, but the show's actual name is STARBORN on YouTube. So until then, I'll see you right here next week, and good luck. Bye.